from Islamabad. Omar Warech is the correspondent of The Independent. Also with us, General Rashid Qureshi is back with us on the top right, and on the bottom right is Maruf Raza. Thank you very much. Maruf joining us from New Delhi, of course. General Qureshi, what is going on? I mean, why Durrani is speaking the truth? He is now being made a scapegoat. If somebody says he's an American agent, somebody says he's an Indian agent. Till yesterday, he was your national security advisor. In the fight between Gilani and Zardari, why is Durrani being made the fall guy?
I guess this is a question that should be asked from either Mr. Gilani or Mr. Zardari, but I don't think he's being made a scapegoat. What I think is maybe there was lack of coordination, and that's something that we've been seeing in the last 7-8 months now. There are issues that I guess are either not discussed or debated before somebody speaks, and I think in this case the Prime Minister Gilani has said that he was not briefed about what the National Security Advisor was about to say.
No, but the National Security Advisor has also said, General Qureshi, that Zardari told him to say this. He was simply saying what Zardari asked him to say, and lack of coordination for what would be an obvious question. I can put that to perhaps Omar. Lack of coordination for what, Omar? Lack of coordination in concealing or not speaking?
No.
In being part of the conspiracy of silence? Omar?
No, I think...
Well, there's generally been a problem of lack of coordination within the Pakistani government. As you've seen throughout this whole crisis, there have been a number of U-turns. There's been trouble in communication between parts of the government and the army. And I think this is symptomatic of that. As far as this was concerned, this was something, because of Pakistan's earlier denials, this had become over time a sensitive issue. And because Durrani, perhaps because he was also not liked by elements within the government and elsewhere, he was made a convenient scapegoat. But because he broke that protocol, it gave them a reason to push him out.
No, but somebody else said also, Maruf, that Durrani ended up, it's ironic that the country's own national security advisor ends up being the chink in the armor of the conspiracy of silence. Maruf.
Well, I think General Durrani has got a lot of experience behind him. He's got an impeccable track record. He's an armored corps officer. He's served as Pakistan's ambassador to the US. He seems to know the security situation very well. He's obviously been blamed by some people to play the India card more favorably than the Pakistani card. And that in this case has been his undoing. But as General, as the General has brought out in the discussion earlier today, that you see there is a lot of discoordination in the Pakistani civilian establishment. And this is symptomatic of what has happened in Pakistan over the last 6 decades. Ever since the military first intervened in 1958 under Ayub Khan, they intervened because Pakistan in a period of 7 years had 6 prime ministers. You have a president now who's wanting to play the prime minister's role. You have a prime minister who doesn't know what he should be doing because the president's become too proactive. And all this, to my mind, ever since I've been watching it, is very symptomatic of a possible military intervention in Pakistan, which, when the military will intervene, they will probably say that the civilians lost legitimacy to rule. Yeah. And these kind of flip-flops that are happening, I mean, Zardari is saying he's getting a phone call from Pranab Mukherjee. Gilani wants to send the ISI chief here, then he backtracks. Qureshi says something else. I mean, there is a complete mess out there. Yeah. And those who advocate that India must empathize with the civilian rulers in Pakistan and give them a chance for democracy, I mean, what is more important, that Pakistan must be stable? That is more in India's interest, democracy or not.
Yeah, I mean, now for people, well-known writers, General Qureshi, like Farooq Salim, well-known people like Mirza Aslam Beg, they say that the person who till 24 hours back was National Security Advisor of your country is part of an international conspiracy. Tomorrow your army is going to come in and say the civilian government sold out. Because you have a president who wants to be Prime Minister. You have a Prime Minister who doesn't know what he's doing. You have a President who holds a press conference with the British Prime Minister, and you have your Prime Minister absolutely fuming. You have a President who says there is a cancer within, and you have a National Security Advisor who is now being told that he's a traitor for speaking the truth. General Qureshi, this is an unnatural situation.
Yeah. Now, you see, I cannot answer for Mr. Zardari or Mr. Gilani, but there's no doubt in my mind too that there is some confusion there. And when I said lack of coordination, I'm afraid you turned it into a conspiracy to hide things. That's not what I meant. What I'm saying is lack of coordination between government agencies. Who's supposed to be saying what? I do not think that the Foreign Office or
But
the
you're
National
supposed to be
Security
saying the
Advisor.
But you're supposed to be saying
yes,
the truth.
exactly.
What is
No,
what is
hold
the
on,
coordination
hold on.
required for speaking the truth? Why do you need to
Hey,
coordinate to
listen.
speak the truth?
Because there's one agency that needs to speak, not 35 agencies,
But-
not people, not the National Security Advisor, who is supposed to be National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister. And he doesn't even tell the Prime Minister as to what he's going to say, just because Mr. Zardari has told him to say it. I think it's very unfair for you to say that he's being made a scapegoat. No. That's not an issue. He's not being victimized for anything. I think it's a problem, and Mr. Durrani should have discussed and informed at least the Prime Minister of what Mr. Zardari had asked him to say. I think that's the problem that had occurred.
Okay.